Welcome back to the Nuptial Nonsense Podcast, brought to you by Oak and Willow Event Co. I'm your host, Valerie. This is my co-host, Riley. Today, we're going to talk about vendor selection. It's an important part of the process, for sure. You got anything to add, sis, so far?
Nope. Make sure you have good food at your wedding.
Yes. Okay, we'll get to that for sure. There's a few things that people always are going to talk about. They're going to talk crap, or they're going to talk good things. It's totally up to you how you want to spend that when you choose your vendors. First of all, vendor selection. Okay. Somebody asked me the other day, why do certain venues, it's a requirement that you use certain vendors at these venues? Okay, there's several reasons why. Mostly because they've worked with them before there. They know the venue layout. They know the venue expectations. What are you laughing at?
I look bald.
Y'all, we're on the struggle bus.
Jump scared myself.
We're on the struggle bus today. It's rainy. It's humid. It's like mid-December and it's 70 degrees. Like this. Welcome to the South, I guess. Anyway, we're here. It's fine.
I read in my journal last night, and January 1st of 2022, we were supposed to have tornadoes.
Oh, no. I rebuke that in the name of the Lord.
Yeah,
that could not happen
the weather
again.
was like this today, so I'm praying.
No, we don't do tornadoes. Absolutely not.
Go on.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, venues and vendor selection. Okay, because here's the deal. Oh, man. When I was a venue director, there were vendors that would come before we implemented certain policies, and we knew it was going to be a shit show. People booked them because they're budget friendly. They're cheaper than other places. Weddings are expensive, so people want a good deal, right? That's why when I tell you, you have to use certain vendors for your wedding, it's not because I'm controlling, guys.
Right.
It's because I've worked with them and I know they follow venue expectations. They are good to the clients. They will provide a good service, whatever. Anyway.
You're trying to build the Avengers team. You don't want a crappy, like, byproduct.
Yeah.
Superhero.
Like, I know your Aunt Susan can make good chili in the crock pot, but like, yo, nobody wants that on their wedding day. Okay. Nobody wants that. So the reason sometimes venues have, like, you have to use this bartender. That's where we see it a lot of times is with bartenders, because that is like a really big responsibility. I feel like I'm like hugging this mic. Hello, friend. It's because I have to talk with my hands. Anyway, bartenders have a big liability. Also catering, it's a big liability. You don't want somebody that's doesn't follow protocol, safety guidelines, isn't licensed, insured, etc. Because if your whole wedding of 150 people gets food poisoning.
Yeah, or like if your food is cold by the time like the back of the line gets.
Yes.
Like you want someone that has, you know, all that in preparation, because I've been to a wedding where that happened and that's not.
Yes.
Not the move.
Or the caterer runs out of food.
Yeah, I heard about a wedding where that happened, and that people were not happy. You don't want that to happen on your wedding day. You don't ever want to run out of food, period. I would be upset on any day.
Definitely not at your wedding. Because no. So anyway, that's another reason. So as far as like the wedding planner side of things, every single wedding planner I know personally, and then myself, like we have a preferred vendor list that we send out to our couples. Venues, even if they don't require certain vendors, they'll have like a preferred vendor list. And again, it's because we have worked with these people. It has been a good experience. They're worth the money. They hold up their end of the contract. The clients have a good experience. The couple has a good experience. Well, I guess that's the same, clients and couples. Anyway, the guests is what I'm trying to say, have a good experience. Like, you have to trust your planner, trust your venue. Like, oh man, when people go rogue off of the preferred vendor list, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I just know something crazy is going to happen. So like for me, for example, photographers, we'll go with a photographer. There are probably, if somebody texts me and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a photographer, I'm trying not to spend this over this, I want potentially this many hours, whatever, then I have a list I can send them. I don't have just one person. I have 2 or 3 to choose from. Photographers have different editing styles, whatever. Same thing, catering, bartending, florals, the whole 9 yards. Venues and vendors, as in wedding planners, have options. Like, it's not just you have to use this person, and they're going to be out of your budget. Like, there should be budget options. If that still does not fit into your budget, pro tip, invite less people. And I know people hate to hear that, but here's the thing. Weddings are a per person event. Like, you are paying per guest. Even if you don't have alcohol, if you only have food, you're still basically paying per person. Sometimes even DJs charge like, up to 75 people's one price, up to 150 people's another price, because they have to bring more speakers. Like, you have to have people be able to hear you. So all that is something that you need to think about when you're creating your guest list,
And weddings don't have to be a family reunion.
girl,
You can have a barbecue to see your family. You don't have to.
you.
You don't have to invite Billy Bobby Joe that you haven't seen since you were born. Like,
Or your mom's
don't feel
best friend.
obligated. Like, this is your wedding. Like,
Yes. I mean, you do have to invite my best friends, but
but you didn't have a controlling mother. Okay.
But you're close to my friends. Like, you know them. That's different. Like, but if you
But that family member that's like, oh, I haven't seen you since you were this tall,
Mhm.
kick them out.
yes.
They don't need to be there.
Preach
Like-
what she said. Absolutely. Which we're going to go into that more on our next episode.
If they're not at your birthday parties, they don't need to be at your wedding.
Or if they're not texting and checking on you.
Respectfully.
Like, no. Anyway. Yeah, totally agree with that. So that's the whole thing too, is like, it's not a family reunion. It's not time to, your third cousin from your dad's second wife, ex removed, whatever. Like, they don't need to come. They don't need an invitation, period.
No offense, Billy Bobby Joe.
Yeah, we can still love you from a distance. It's all good. All good. So another thing somebody asked me is how soon should you be booking your vendors? As soon as possible. As soon as possible. Time in the wedding world does not move the same as time out here in the real world. Like, you be like, oh, I have a year. I would lay money 3 of your 5 preferred vendors are going to be booked already. Like, I mean, personally, Oak and Willow for 2025 is like 90% booked already. So you have to think about, like, your photographers, they can only shoot one event at a time. They can't be 2 places at once. Your wedding planner team, even if you have people, like, I can be the lead on something and then Hannah can be the lead on something. What's your thought? I see you about to laugh.
I don't know. I just be giggling. I didn't have a thought. Honestly.
Y'all, that sums up her whole life. I didn't have a thought.
Just sit here and laugh.
But, that's something to think about, is like, you can't be can you edit that, Neil? Edit that out. You can't be multiple places at the same time. So that's something you need to think about. Wedding dresses. Okay, you need to go look at wedding dresses sooner than later, because the chances of you picking it up off the rack, having it fit exactly how you need it to fit, length, everything, slim to none. My curvy girls out there, you're going to have it altered, period, because it's going to be too big in the waist if it fits in the boobs or the butt or whatever. It's going to be too long. If you're like myself, 5'4", that dress is going to drag the ground, period. Like, that's just going to happen. And alterations take a lot of time. Heavy beaded dresses, man, that can take a long time. So sooner the better. I have had a bride in the past who it was 3 months until her wedding date, and she had not even looked at wedding dresses. That stresses me out for her. She seemed okay with it. It was not okay. Anyway, she ended up finding one that she knew somebody that could do the alterations, but a lot of times that's not the case. Like,
that just reminds me of when my junior prom got canceled, and then I randomly found my prom dress in my closet, like my senior year, and I put it on and then couldn't get it off, and I had to drive to Mimi's house with it on so that she could unzip
the silver
it.
one?
Yeah.
You wore that one though.
My senior year.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I had to make sure it still fit. So I was home alone and I put it on, and then I couldn't get it off. And I had to drive to Mimi's in my Honda Civic in a gown up to here
Yeah, it was big. It was very
So that
big.
I didn't even tell her I was coming over. I just walked in the door with this. I was like, Mimi, I need you to unzip this dress.
Why could you not? You couldn't reach it?
No. Because I zipped it up with a hanger. And I couldn't zip it back off.
Oh my gosh.
It fit. Newsflash.
Yeah, she did wear it. Looked very pretty in her dress. It was big though. Like it was like.
And I busted it while dancing at prom. Ew.
Get it, girl.
Period.
Oh gosh. Are there pictures from prom? Like to somebody
like at prom? I doubt it.
Not like professional pictures, but like somebody took them on their iPhone pictures. Oh, I would love to see.
I very seriously doubt it.
I thought I remembered seeing them at somebody. I thought somebody had some at one point.
I don't have any. I don't know.
Maybe that was something else. I don't know.
Not that I could find my phone in that Mod Podge of a dress. I mean,
it was huge. It had pockets though.
Yeah.
Which, pro tip, we love a dress with pockets.
Facts.
Not for your phone. Please do not have your phone in your dress on wedding day. You can have tissues, little like, sometimes for the sentimental people out there, sometimes like the mom or grandmother will give them like a locket or like a, Nana's going to give you like a brooch.
I know. And cry while giving it to me.
Yes, for sure. So you can put that in your pocket and just like have it with you. And plus pockets are just fun. You can put them in and twirl around. Like it's a whole thing. Anyway. I've lost my train of thought. Where was that? I have to have my notes here, y'all, because we're too all over the place. Okay. So yeah, book your vendors as soon as possible. Pretty much every vendor I know requires a contract and a deposit, which should go towards your overall payment amount. Words are hard today.
Yeah. It's because of the weather. It's really taking me out.
This is like a nap weather.
Yeah.
Like we do not need to be doing anything productive today.
Yeah. And I had to put those clothes away. I have a 3 foot pile of clothes in my floor at home. So
they're clean.
Pray for me, y'all. Pray for me. Yeah. Every single one of them is hang up clothes. So I'm unwell. Genuinely.
It's fine. You'll be okay.
Grieved.
What's that saying?
Book them as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, book them as soon as possible. See, this is how it is to work with me
the
too.
funding.
Oh yeah. So most vendors, everyone I know, contract and a deposit. The deposit is usually between like $250 or $500. So just know you are going to have to pay that up front. Again, everybody I know, until the contract is signed and the deposit is received, your date is not booked. So just keep that in mind. That is important to know. Somebody asked me, do vendors give a discount if you pay in full up front? That is very specific vendor to vendor. They each have, their own policy. I don't have like a blanket policy on that. It's kind of situational. What's your date? How booked am I? What is it you're going to need? What is your venue? Some venues are easier to work at than others. That's just what it is. Some of them, if it's new to me, then I don't know the venue, then you're probably not going to get a discount because like, I don't know their policies. I don't know their procedures. I don't know their staff. I don't know their requirements. Also paying in full comes with a risk for you as like the couple, because let's say hypothetically you book your venue, your planner, your florist, your bartender, and you've paid everybody in full. And then God forbid something happens. The wedding doesn't happen how it's supposed to. It gets canceled. It gets moved. One of those vendors isn't available for the date that you want to move it to. You have potentially lost all of that money. A lot of people, the few vendors that I do know that do accept the payment up front in full, you don't get a refund. Like that is a chance that you have to take. So you need to just really read through your contracts before you sign them. Like that's really important because every contract is different. Every vendor is different.
And that does happen. So don't be like, oh, that won't happen to me.
Oh,
that has happened to people that she's had. So
yes, it does.
Don't be one of those people that thinks that it's not going to happen to them. Hopefully it won't.
Yeah,
but you never know.
Yeah, you just never know. And it's not even that like I have had couples that just have totally broken up and like they're no longer together. But then I have had them that there was an unexpected job change or they unexpectedly were able to purchase this house that they didn't know they were going to be able to. So they used the money, like things happen, life happens. You cannot plan for everything, period. So I don't know. I personally would rather lose $500 than $5,000. I mean, I'd rather lose nothing, but comparatively speaking, 500 is better than 5,000 in my opinion. Another hot topic when it comes to vendors is, do vendors expect to get tipped? I'd like to know your thoughts on this before I continue. As someone who's at an age where your friends are getting married, a lot of my clientele is early 20s. What is your thought process on that?
I mean, I think it depends on what kind of vendor.
Okay, like what?
I'm not going to tip a DJ.
Really?
It's not going to happen.
Why? Why do you think that?
I'm just not.
Awala, sponsor us.
I'm cheating today. Sorry.
Oh yeah, she's
Sorry.
a Hydro Flask. You can sponsor us.
I am a Hydro Flask girly.
She is
hardcore.
through and through.
This is the OG. Obviously, she has some dents and scrapes.
It's okay.
I don't know. That just doesn't seem like something that I would do. I would tip like a bartender. I would tip that.
Hold on. Neil, edit that, please. Okay, go ahead.
I would tip. I don't know. It's like if you like have to I think.
Okay, let me stop you at the bartender for a second. So a lot of times bartenders have two options in their contracts. One, it's a percentage. They can go ahead and include it in your package price, like an X amount percentage to like your tips. Or they put out a tip jar and your guests tip them.
I would have the guests tip them. Yeah. I wouldn't tip anyone.
You don't think?
I'm already paying. No. But the guests can tip them. Like if I had like a fun vendor, like the ones. Okay,
What's a fun vendor?
Well, okay, I went to an event one time and they were making coasters where they it was leather and they engraved your name into them. Yeah,
yeah.
And like the guests were getting that would be fine if the guests were like tipping them. If I go up and get one, I'm not going to get one because I'm the one that paid for that. You know what I mean? The guests didn't pay anything. Like they can tip if they want to. And then like I feel like food and stuff is like the guests aren't going to tip food because they're like going up, getting it, and leaving.
Right.
Like a bartender is different. Like if they're going up to the little cart and like getting their drink, I don't know. I feel like if it feels right, tip.
Yeah.
If not, me personally won't be doing that.
But you saying like you as the bride.
Yeah.
Vendors who I book for my daughter's weddings, you will get a tip. I promise you that. So I think like, okay, catering staff, for example, a lot of times, I have also seen that in catering contracts is like, because here's the thing, like there's one or two people who are making the food, but then if you have a buffet style, then you have staff there that are getting paid probably like an hourly rate from the owner or manager, whatever. They're refilling your food. They're potentially cutting the cake. They're potentially, doing trash, bussing tables. It's almost like a restaurant situation. You know what I mean?
Paid for that.
I know, I understand, but I'm saying a lot of times they will get tipped at the end of the night, or like it's included in their package price, and then hopefully the owner actually like disperses that amongst them and doesn't keep it for themselves. Bartenders for sure, like almost every wedding I have ever worked, I would say probably 10% don't have the tip jar out, and people are always like, "Oh, well, can I tip you?" Like they think that, I don't know, it's almost like they expect to tip the bartender.
Well, it's like when someone's doing a service for you, like you're used to like going to a restaurant or like going to like get a drink and like you tip. I mean,
so what if you had a bartender? Not a bartender. What if you had a vendor and you felt like they went like above and beyond what you contracted them to do? You still don't think that you would?
Then yeah, maybe I would feel differently. But I think as a blanket statement, the answer is no.
Yeah.
But I think there can be like case by case basis.
So I would just like to say, as a vendor, as someone that has talked with other vendors, I think the general rule is like we don't expect it. Like we don't expect to be. Bartenders probably do because that's like a very tip heavy service. Yeah. But like generally speaking, we don't expect it. It is always appreciated. I love though when my couples write me like a sweet little handwritten note that's like meaningful and I don't know. I just like having that connection with them. But if you want to throw some hundreds in there, that's okay too. And I do split that with my team, just so everybody knows. I know I have heard tell that there are some people who don't. Like they just keep all of it. And like, yes, I usually have done all of the work up until wedding day, but like my team busts their ass on wedding day for, 8, 10, 12, 14 hours. So I don't think that's fair.
And she has me and Avery slaving away too. Just so you know.
Y'all, that is not true at all. That is not
Just
true.
say, bring me your iPad. I have to do the layout.
Yes, they do help sometimes. That is true. But my team that's there with me on wedding day, I do split that with them because I feel like that's not, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to.
Yeah, because it's hard work. I mean, even if it's not hard, like even when I just go and help like set the tables or whatever, it's just tedious and time consuming.
Time consuming, yeah. And it's very detail oriented. Like that job is such a detail oriented job. And so like you have to make sure everything is in its place. The forks are on the right side, or right as in correct. The knives are on the correct side. Like you just want it to be like as close to perfect as possible for sure. Shoot, there was something you said a while ago, and I was going to make a comment about it, but
that I wouldn't tip a DJ.
No, it wasn't that.
Sorry. Don't cancel me.
I would say though the DJs do get tipped. Okay, but this one wedding, okay, guys.
There's no reason. That just doesn't seem like something I would like.
Well, it's because the ones that I have personally seen get tipped, it's because they go above and beyond. Like it's not just like you're playing music, like they are a showman.
Yeah.
Like they put on a show, or woman. There's a female DJ that I've worked with a few times and she's phenomenal. But it's because they are entertaining. Like it's not just, they're not just hitting a playlist. Like they're mixing songs. They're keeping the crowd engaged. They're helping us run the timeline, making announcements for us, which is very important. That's a huge part of as a planner, having a good connection with the DJ, because they play a vital role in that for sure. But no, that's not what it was going to be. I mean, having a good DJ though is important. Let me just talk about that for a second, because anybody can hit play on a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Like that's not hard, but like keeping the crowd engaged, because here's the thing. People are going to go dance for a few minutes and then they're going to want to sit back down. You have to keep them out there. Like you have to keep the crowd going.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a wedding in June and every time I said I was going to leave, there was another song. And I was like, this is also my song. And I got to go back out there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is like, you want that. You want to keep the party going. You want it to end on a high note. You want people to be like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun, which is one of the most important vendors you can book is your DJ, period. Because like I said, I personally work hand in hand with the DJs every single time I have an event to, can you help me make this announcement? If it's a large wedding, I'll ask them to like dismiss the tables on the microphone instead of us just walking around, because it's loud and noisy and, they can get the attention of people that way, keeping the party going. Like, I don't know. It's just the flow of everything is the DJ plays a large part in that. And I think sometimes people don't give them enough credit. So DJs, here it is. Hats off to you. Y'all do a lot for sure. Okay, let's talk about wedding cake. The weddings you've been to so far, have they had cake?
Yeah, I didn't eat it.
Why? I mean,
I'm not a big sweets person.
Yeah,
anyways.
I know you're not, but
because it wasn't chocolate.
Right.
That's why.
So trendy right now is like not having this huge like 3 or 4 tier wedding cake. It's like you may have one small cake that the couple cuts like as tradition, and then it's like a dessert bar.
Yeah.
Which like brownie bites, little cupcakes, chocolate covered strawberries. I've seen chocolate covered pretzels, cookies of different types. Is that something that you I think for you that would be like the route to go?
Yeah, I could rock with even just like some Little Debbie's like laid out on the
shout out Chattanooga. We love a Little Debbie.
things I would eat. Like,
yeah, I've had donut walls before because people want some because at that time the party's usually like starting, and so people don't want to like go sit down with a piece of cake. They want to go pick up a cookie and
let me say something. Carrot cake kills the vibe.
Yeah.
Vibe killed immediately.
Yes.
Y'all need to stop doing that. Okay. That's my hot take. That anybody that has carrot cake planned for their wedding, ex-nay that. It needs to be done.
No, I agree.
That's a trend that needs to die, respectfully.
Yes. Yeah, I had a bride one time that had a 3-tier cake and it was all carrot
Yeah,
cake.
that's
And I wanted to
insane.
die. I was like,
no
no.
one wants that. Absolutely nobody wants that. If
Yes.
carrot cake has 0 haters, I'm dead. That is insane.
Yeah. And the girl was like, well, that's his favorite. Okay, we love that for him. We love that for him so much.
Get him a carrot like mini bundt cake.
Okay, but I think this is like a good example of like when you can have your own personal cake to cut for pictures.
Yeah.
And then like the couple keeps like the rest of it or whatever. But then you have a dessert bar for everybody else.
Yeah.
Or I've even had somebody do a small cake that they cut, but then they did have like a 2-tier cake that was. Am I boring you?
No. Strained me.
She won't be here next episode, guys.
I just woke up like 2 hours ago, so that's my bad, I guess.
But then they had like I can't remember if it was 2 or 3-tier, but it was just like vanilla with vanilla icing, or I think it might have been vanilla chocolate vanilla. Either way, it was something that was more of like a quote unquote crowd pleaser, which I think is really like the way to go, honestly.
Which like one of my best friends got married in May, and she had like different cookies and different brownies and stuff like that, and she had a cake, but like you said, it was like just for her and him. And then she had all the little like desserts, and people love that. Like that was way more, that's also just more like practical, because if your food is already set up in a way where they just like go up, get it, and sit down, that's just more practical. And you can dance with a cookie in your hand.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Like, literally, people want something they can just grab. But you can't
like hold a piece of cake and be dancing.
Yeah, people want something they can grab and go back to the dance floor or go talk with their friend, whatever the case may be. Also, when it comes to ordering desserts, if you have 200 people at your wedding, do not order dessert for 200 people. Number one, not everybody's going to eat it. Number two, not everybody's going to stay that long. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
I usually tell people, if you have 200 people RSVP, order enough dessert for 175. I have never, ever, let me knock on wood, worked a wedding where I have advised someone of that and we ran out of dessert. Never has that happened.
And even if you do, it's just dessert. Like, I feel like the food is different because people are like, you're eating at a wedding. Dessert is different. If you run out, whatever, it's fine.
I don't know. The elderly people get very upset about their dessert.
Oh, that does not surprise me.
Nana would be ticked if she did not.
My key lime pie?
If she did not get some. But yeah, I mean, generally that's just the way it is. People are gonna some people are gonna be full from dinner. They're not gonna. Some people don't like sweets. Period. Like they're just not gonna.
There's a lot of if you have donuts, I won't be eating one. Like I'm not a big donut fan.
Like there's just gonna be some stuff people don't want, and that's okay. But don't waste it. I mean, I have worked weddings before, not now because we have set up places to donate this stuff to. But I have worked weddings before where we have thrown away whole entire sheet cakes that were never touched. They were never cut because the other cake wasn't eaten first. And if you're going out of town the next day, or you have family from out of town, you're not going to want to take that with you. And that's just so wasteful. It's wasteful for money. It's wasteful for food. We just want to avoid that. So anyway, you have anything you want to add? I think we're about to wrap it up this time.
Sounds good.
So the bottom line is, please trust your wedding planners and your venues, and use the preferred vendor list. If you have somebody on there that's not within your budget, please circle back with your planner or your venue and just say, hey, this person was in my budget. They're actually already booked. Do you have anybody else you've worked with? Anybody else you could recommend? There are resources out there. Please use them. Please don't go rogue. I beg of you. Please don't go rogue. Next episode, we're going to talk about family dynamics. We're hopefully going to have a special guest with us. I hope she can make it. She's planning to. So we're going to talk about family dynamics at the wedding, how they affect the wedding, how they affect the photo time. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of our family dynamics, which is pretty interesting. So join us next time. Thank you again to Build Something Media for making this podcast happen.
Shout out.
We love them. They're funny. We hope you'll have a good day and Merry Christmas. You won't see this until after Christmas. So happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Do you know this is the first time in 25 years that all of them line up at the same time? Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa.
I don't know their calendar. Unfortunately. Sorry, I'm not cultured. I'm not aware of their
I
calendar.
think I heard it on the radio or maybe
What religion is
a different
Kwanzaa?
Girl, I don't know all that. I just know it's on the calendar. It's on the 26th, I think.
Mm.
Anyway, whatever you celebrate, we hope you have a great time celebrating it. And we'll see y'all next time.